Let's go.
Welcome to The Integrative Edge, your go-to podcast for fresh perspectives on holistic health and functional movement. Join us as we explore innovative ways to optimize your health naturally and sustainably.
I'm Kelly Demers, founder of the Integrative Wellness Coalition and the owner of True North Performance.
I'm Lindsay Seefeld, doctor of physical therapy and owner and operator of Uplifted Oncology Rehab.
I'm Dr. Kimberly Klimek, licensed pharmacist and owner of Innate Healing and Performance.
You can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Welcome back to the Integrative Edge, your podcast where we explore innovative ways to optimize your health naturally and sustainably. I am your host, Kelly Demers, and as always, joined by my two incredible co-hosts, Dr. Lindsay Seefeld and Dr. Kim Klimek. Today, we are talking about one of the most frustrating experiences in modern healthcare. When your labs come back and they say that you're fine, but you feel anything but fine. We're going to break down the world of low-grade inflammation, how it starts, why it flies under the radar, and what you can do about it. So, Dr. Kim, from a functional medicine standpoint, what is inflammation exactly, and why is chronic low-grade inflammation so dangerous over time?
Yeah, so first off, inflammation is basically your body's natural response to either like an injury, an infection, or basically stimuli from outside factors. And then it's part of your immune system's defense mechanism. So we think of acute inflammation, right? So like that immediate redness, swelling, pain, sometimes a loss of function maybe in a particular area of the body. So like you cut your finger, inflammation helps bring like different immune cells to the site of the tissue to help repair the body or fight off bacteria, right? And then more long-term or kind of chronic inflammation is that kind of lingering autoimmune activity or inflammation to the body, where that's where it starts to contribute to chronic disease like diabetes, heart disease, other autoimmune conditions.
So you touched on not all inflammation is bad inflammation.
True. Mm-hmm. It's like part of your body's, like I said, part of your body's like defense mechanisms in the early stages.
Right.
Yeah. Acute inflammation is important, very important, because that protects the body. So if you've ever had a major trauma like broken bones, twisted ankle, or you just walk into that damn coffee table and you hit your shin and you get a nice bruise there, acute inflammation is needed. You have to have that inflammation. That's basically our vascular system opening up, our lymphatic pathways opening up to flood the area to help clean out the debris, dead blood cells, the infection, what have you. So inflammation acutely is necessary, right. Very important.
I wanted to make sure that we touched on that because anytime you hear inflammation, red flags go off, right? We've just been conditioned to say inflammation equals bad.
Yes.
And it doesn't.
It's meant to protect. It's meant to protect. That's why, if you have a swollen ankle, for example, that swollen ankle is meant to protect. You're not allowed to move it, right? It gets very stiff because your body is trying to protect that area so that it can do the repair that it needs.
Right. So going back to the world of low-grade inflammation, and over time, Dr. Lindsay, what kinds of physical issues, posture changes, joint pain, recovery delays, do you see in patients where hidden inflammation is a major factor?
Yeah, so this is definitely what I see. It starts with, some of the common symptoms are, just general fatigue. So when you have a lot of inflammation in your body, it makes everything more sluggish. You have more toxicity hanging around. So, like brain fatigue, joint pain and stiffness, it'll settle in your joints. So you'll get stiffness in your shoulders and your hips and your back. Digestive issues, definitely see that because of that excess inflammation, our gut is just not, working appropriately. So you see like constipation type issues. Skin is a big one too. So you'll start seeing, rashes break out or acne, and mood too. Like it'll really affect your mood. You'll get moodier when you have more inflammation on board.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's eye-opening to understand that inflammation always isn't about pain.
Yes.
It affects more than that.
Oh yeah, because I think I'm like brain fog and fatigue as other and then the like headaches and other things that can be attributed to inflammation as well. And then some of the puffiness in the face and cortisol dysregulation, which is also still just like lingering inflammation too long in the body.
Can we talk about so we talked about in the intro, right? This is one of the most frustrating experiences in modern healthcare. Why do standard blood tests often come back normal, even when inflammation is brewing beneath the surface? Like, what markers are they missing, and what should people really be paying attention to symptom-wise?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, standard blood work is really poor at detecting like systemic and chronic inflammation for people because one, we talked about how they're not running like the right labs, I would say, or like full picture labs. Okay, because blood work can tell you even some foundational blood work can still give you information about your body, but it's really like the full picture blood work, which can really bring more just a better picture of the inflammation, which I can kind of go over some of those labs. But it often doesn't really reflect like the cellular level of your inflammation or like low grade inflammation even. So that's kind of where doing more in-depth some of the functional testing, like getting an assessment for like your gut or your microbiome to assess if you have like leaky gut, or like calprotectin is actually a gold standard marker in like the gastroenterology field, where you can they'll usually measure a blood work marker for calprotectin for IBD or like Crohn's disease and stuff. But then like sometimes I'll have that see that on my gut testing that I do for people, and it can really indicate like systemic inflammation throughout their digestive tract in general. But yeah, sometimes they'll measure like a CRP or a ESR lab, and those can be a little bit indicative, but we want to look more like at like a high sensitivity C-reactive protein marker in the blood. And then we're looking at like homocysteine, which is another blood marker, because that can indicate inflammation as well if you have like methylation or detoxification issues. And then one of the big ones for sure that's very enlightening for some of my clients is like actually getting a further what we call like an NMR lipid profile. So it's like a breakdown of their cholesterol particles. So somebody might have like a high LDL or something, but there's kind of two patterns that we look at in terms of that and just other like further in-depth cholesterol panel markers. Sometimes for like liver function, we're kind of looking at it and looking at it from more of a functional and optimal lens. I think even if you've ordered some of your own blood work, you're going to kind of see that they will be like, oh, well, these are the optimal levels, right? And again, I tell people kind of is this kind of like cutting 25% off the bottom and 25% off the top and just making that range a little more narrow, because we do want you to be optimized in that. And like I'll check somebody's like CO2 level, which is essentially a lot of the times it is on a BMP panel from your doctor. So you can check it. And if it's like below 25, that can indicate mitochondrial dysfunction in your cells and more oxidative stress to the body. And then, yeah, obviously getting your like glucose levels and stuff, and you're checking your blood sugar spikes and stuff. And it's not necessarily, also blood sugar spikes are not necessarily like a bad thing. You want to assess if those blood sugar spikes go down over time too, because that's something I'm learning a little bit more about in the functional space as well. Because most of us kind of have a blood sugar spike sometimes when we eat, but it's like if it lingers around longer, then that's when you're going to start to get more systemic inflammation in your cardiovascular system. But I've seen a lot of markers for like fatty liver or like oxidative stress, and that comes from markers that are looking at like ALT, AST levels, because your liver will kind of shoot out a little bit more of those markers if there's systemic inflammation happening to the liver, or like bilirubin levels. Those are some of the markers that your body utilizes when there's damage to the liver, and it kind of kicks out some more of that on your blood work. And it's not always, like I said, it's not always black and white. I feel like doctors won't really even address any type of liver health unless your liver enzymes are like off the chart. But even if you have small elevations in them, I'm like, yep, these are just big early signals that you're dealing with some inflammation. So those are some of the early ones.
Yeah, and I think, well, answer if I'm incorrect, but I think when like the medical system, when they're testing, they're trying to like really look for like the deep, chronic type conditions as well. Mm-hmm. So they don't dive in as much with like the little testing that you do that really breaks down, I think, more of the, like you said, the cellular level. In the medical system, they don't test for all of that. So that's why, it's disheartening when you go in and you feel like crap and you do all this testing. It's like, well, I still feel like crap. Why is nothing showing up? Mm-hmm. I think they don't do all the little testing that you talk about.
Yeah, for sure. It's it's definitely frustrating, I feel like, in a sense, and many people have said that. And then when they get like a full panel, they're like, oh my goodness, like, wow, there's all this extra information. Like, and then they say like, oh yeah, I never had these labs run before. And some of them are quite interesting. It was like the other day I had a client too, and we checked one, kind of pulled open my blood work panel that I use, but there's one like lipoprotein A as a marker where we can actually check if somebody has a genetically inherited type of LDL cholesterol. And it has sometimes it actually has nothing to do with anything that they're doing with nutrition or diet. This is literally a genetically inherited type of gene mutation where it makes their cholesterol more sticky, and it's just a genetic thing for them. Mm-hmm. And so if you are someone that's never really had that identified, that can be one of those things where I often think, and like apolipoprotein B marker too, is one of those things where it's like I could hear about like a guy who's super fit and goes and does an Ironman or something and he has like a heart attack. Oh, and I'm like, oh, maybe he's one of those people that had that lipoprotein A gene disorder and he didn't realize he has to kind of do stuff to support and prevent like oxidative stress from happening in his body and support that little genetic mutation better, because that one is actually primarily unaffected by any diet or exercise that you do. It's more about kind of opening up the cardiovascular pathways and decreasing oxidative stress to the cells.
Are there symptoms for somebody that's walking around and kind of blissfully unaware or unself-aware of what's going on? Are there symptoms that will manifest physically that would lend itself to having low-grade inflammation?
Yeah, we touched on them a little bit. It's definitely like the little joint aches and pains. And sorry guys, I don't want to hear it if people are saying, oh, it's just because you get told, literally the doctor will say, it's just due to aging. Mm-hmm. And that is a bunch of BS to me because I've seen literally like 70-year-olds out there like water skiing and like doing all these amazing like outdoor activities and they're lifting weights and doing things. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to be one of those people because I'm going to just do, preventative strategies and working on my nutrition and taking my supplements and stuff that I do. And then for me, it's definitely one of those, like the brain fog, and definitely like digestive issues for sure for people. If you're dealing with
skin.
Well, skin, but inflammation in general, like it's like that warmth, that fullness, So I think people come to me too, like, I just feel like I feel full. I feel like just like throughout my whole body,
they feel inflamed.
Yes, like I feel like I feel inflamed, like just the heat, the warmth, the fullness. I feel like that's a very typical thing. And when someone is saying like head to toe, like you can feel it, like head to toe. I just feel overly inflamed. You can't pinpoint a certain spot, and that's what that low grade inflammation chronically over time. It'll present all over the place.
Right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, the skin one too. I want to. Yep.
Yes.
That's one. It's definitely a big old red flag that you got some areas of inflammation and some leaky patches in your functional health elements, because the skin is a very big gateway into kind of what's going on in your gut health. Actually, people.
For sure. For someone, when someone has subclinical inflammation, how might that affect athletic performance, injury risk, recovery?
Oh, especially with recovery, I for sure see a delayed in healing. So if you have a lot of inflammation on board, you just don't have that healthy turnaround of good and bad, and it will significantly delay that healing. I see this with wound type cares. If you've got a lot of inflammation on board, the wounds cannot heal appropriately, or you have a longstanding injury, it's going to really delay how much time it takes to let that body heal. So inflammation in general, it's just going to slow you down. It's just going to make you more sluggish. You're not going to be at your optimum level. And your recovery, if you injure yourself, it is going to take way more time.
Right. I think from a true north perspective, one of the things that we look at is from a movement perspective, gentle movement, stretching in the morning, just trying to get the blood moving, prime your lymphatic system, making sure from a nutrition standpoint that you're going back to, and I know, Kim, you've talked about this number of times, going back to eating plants, clean proteins, quality fats, skip some of the more high processed fillers and foods. I would be remiss without a breathwork segment in this, but even 2 minutes of nasal breathing only after a workout or exercise, or just even to start the day. Strength training combined with intentional mindful recovery days will help as well.
Yeah, another thing I think about is sleep too. Like I know a lot of like triathletes will be like, actually the night after like our full on race, like if we're doing a half or a full, like it's actually kind of hard to sleep that night because your body is usually definitely inflamed a little bit more from that hard 5 to 10 hour race, whatever you just did. And sleep is generally more difficult because the legs are on fire usually.
Right.
So that definitely has an interplay.
If someone asks, I feel inflamed based on the symptoms provided, I feel inflamed, but my labs are normal, should I get more advanced testing?
Oh yeah, 100% for sure. Your body's just giving you signs and signals, and those surface level labs are missing things almost 100% of the time. This is great because clients will always, I love it. Like when they come back for like their second session to get their lab results, they're always like, I'm so glad that there's actually something wrong.
Oh, for sure.
Yes,
for sure.
Because they're like, I've just done so much testing and they just keep telling me everything's normal. And I was just praying that maybe like this time they'll actually find something. And I'm like, yeah, we usually always find something with the functional labs if you're coming to me with a complaint, right? Like I'll help you uncover what's going on at the root cause of stuff. And again, you're thinking about all those little elements and layers. And sometimes it's never one thing. And then sometimes it's like, oh yeah, this is a really big thing that's going on for sure.
That's so true, right? I mean, you don't want something to be wrong, but at the same time, you kind of want something to be wrong because otherwise you think you're going crazy a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how can physical therapy help someone support healing without a perfect lab confirmation?
Lymphatic all the way, getting that lymphatic system moving because they're so married, the inflammation and your lymphatic system. We've got to get that lymph moving to help propel and get that toxicity out of your body to help cleanse, get your digestive system moving, get your joints moving, like help stimulate your brain. You've got to start moving that lymph to help detoxify your body. So hands down, get your lymph moving.
Yeah. That's why I love my sauna because it really helps with inflammation or a day where it's like a hard day or whether it's the work day or the workout or something, it just like gets all that lymph moving.
For sure. Today's truths, if you were going to share a couple things from today's episode, things that people should know.
Definitely, we all go through inflammation. It's just the acute inflammation is natural. That's good. That's supposed to happen. If you're feeling, you've got that chronic, definitely, seek out someone like Kim to really dive in deep in regards to, what is going on internally. But do those little things to support your body, like getting that lymphatic system moving, keep your body moving. I think that's key.
Yeah. And if you're feeling inflammation and you're just wondering like where it's coming from, or if your doctor's telling you it's all kind of normal and it's chalked up to aging, right? Like we just kind of let you know in this episode that there's always deeper things we can kind of look into and kind of check those boxes, and we'll go through them and make sure like some of those foundations are in place with nutrition and exercise and hydration and sleep. And then we're looking at, some of those deeper functional root cause testing elements we can add in full blood work.
For sure. I think healing doesn't wait for a lab report to give you permission. It's up to you to really take action. So if you feel inflamed or exhausted or off, your body's wisdom matters. Tune into those physical symptoms and reach out because you do deserve to be heard and supported and empowered to heal and take next steps. Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. Thank you, Dr. Kim, for another great conversation. Thank you to all of our listeners. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a review. You can go to the comments section in the show notes and just pop a review in there. If you have topics for future podcasts that you'd like to learn more about, please send us an email at info@theintegrativeedge.com. With that, have a great day.